Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Diary of a Professional. This is Ashley,
Lou.
and we have the amazing Dr. Ashley Griffith here with us today. And before we get into our topic, let's talk about our moment of gratitude. Um, I'll start.
Mhm.
I am grateful for pretty much just thinking about summer plans already. Like it's that time of the year where you feel the summer's there. Like you can kind of almost touch it. You see all these emails about concerts, summer concerts coming up, and people are making all these plans, and you're like, okay,
Yes.
you're like, oh, summer's on the way, you know? So I'm grateful for um, the change of season that's coming up. We can't forget spring, so I'm excited for spring coming up and,
Yeah.
warmer weather upon us soon. So, yeah.
I think sooner than we think. Absolutely. I think I seen a spider in a corner and I've been told that like when you see one, that means spring is close. I seen the ice cream man outside at the kids'
Oh,
school. I was like, oh, you're on it. Okay.
oh.
It felt warm, but like it's still February, but here we are. But yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Is the spider more reliable than the groundhog? Oh.
I haven't been talking to that one for a while because one in Pennsylvania will say something. What is the other one? In Staten Island, he say another thing. I don't know if they're on the same page. And do I need to rely on them when climate change is what it is? I
Mhm.
think they've been outsourced, like most Americans. So, I mean, whatever.
Fear.
For me, I am grateful for school starting back for the children. I'm not gonna lie. They were on break. Sometimes I think they were looking to break me. Um, like my son the other day was like, oh my gosh, I wish that, you know, summer vacation and all the winter breaks and all of them went together. I said, parents would not make it.
Yeah.
I cannot sustain feeding y'all for that, consecutive many days. So I'm happy to have my afternoons back and my mornings.
Mhm.
And it just feels right. It just feels
Mm.
right, you know.
Dr. Ashley, tell us what you're grateful for.
So I think I'm with you on the change in weather. I live in Miami. So believe
Mm.
it or not, summer is not always our best time of year because it's the tropics and it's rain and stormy and thunderstorms. So I really do love this transition from winter into spring because you can actually enjoy being outside and not sweltering
Mm.
in sweat. I recently, for Lent, made my commitment to getting my steps in for the day. So anywhere that I am, like today, while I was running errands, I made sure that I stopped. I looked over, I saw a park, and I just got out and just started walking around to get my steps in for the day. And I realized that a lot of times in South Florida, because of our like dynamic weather that we have with thunderstorms, it's not always something that we're able to enjoy in the summer. So the winter and spring is a really enjoyable time to do something at like 3:30 in the afternoon. Like if you want to go running or jogging in Miami, you traditionally do it at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning because the rest of the day the weather is just like your clothes are like sticking to you and just want to grab it off. So
Mhm.
I am loving this winter into spring weather down south.
That is a good point because I feel like everyone just looks at Miami like it's hot, it's
Yeah.
wonderful, but
Yeah.
it's humid as hell, especially in that like August time. And
Oh my
yes,
God.
the
Yeah.
storm, hurricane season.
Louisiana, that heat, that humidity, you go out and you're like, "Oh, let me just close the door and get back inside." So
Right.
I get
That's
to enjoy
true.
what you enjoy in the summer in the Northeast. I'm actually enjoying that right now.
I love that.
I didn't even think of it that way. I
Yeah.
just I just think of Miami like, ooh, it's warm. Go to
It's warm.
Miami.
Oh,
That's it.
yeah.
That's
It
it.
is
That's it.
warm. It is
When there's
warm.
levels to the warmth, there's levels. But anyhow, let's get to our topic. Dr. Ashley's
Mhm.
a pharmacist, y'all. And we definitely want to speak with her in regards to off-label use of medication, specifically diabetic medications. Um, we've all heard about Ozempic. I think it's now even a household name at this point
No, no,
because
no.
it's the way everyone knows about Ozempic and
Or they
considering
just call it the shot. I'm
the
taking the shot.
shot, the
Not
shot.
even the Olympic. Oh, it's not even the name. They just tell you, I'm on the shot.
Is that what it is? That's what it is in these streets?
Yeah, it's the shot. I'm losing weight because I'm on the shot.
And
Ozempic
back
is easy to say. It's hard to say Ozempic, and Wegovy and Manjaro. Like, that's a lot. For,
Yeah.
so the shot, it works. I get it.
and when I used to think of the shot, back in the day, I would think of like birth control. I would think of like Depo shot. And now it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
Or you're treating, you got the shot because there might have been an STD or, a
That's what I was thinking.
scare. I got the shot, so I'm good,
Clear.
Clear. No risk of chlamydia or gonorrhea because I got the shot.
Yep. Ready to go right back at it again. Uh-huh.
Ain't no 10 days. Ain't no 10 days. Just 10-day antibiotics, just the shot.
and now here we are, the new shot.
The new one.
So with that being said, can you explain how Ozempic works in the body for a person with diabetes and a person without diabetes?
So overall, Ozempic is pretty much doing the same. It has the same like mechanism of action, right? Ultimately, what it's going to do is lower your blood sugar, right? And by controlling your blood glucose levels, we're able to hopefully help you lose weight, right? So how it does that is very interesting, right? So one way that Ozempic helps you control your blood sugar is that it stimulates the pancreas to release insulin, right? And insulin, as we know, is used to help control blood glucose. That's step one. Step two, what it does is not only does it work on the pancreas, it also goes to the liver, right? And a lot of people don't know this, but our liver is very influential in helping us control our blood sugar because there's a hormone called glucagon, right? And glucagon releases glucose, right? So ultimately, Ozempic is working on the pancreas and working on the liver and helping the body control its blood glucose. And when it does that, it causes the stomach to want to slow down the release of food. So this is ultimately where people are seeing that benefit in losing weight and seeing it for weight loss, because it's tricking the brain into thinking like, oh, I'm full, because it's slowing down the emptying of food in our stomach when it's acting on the liver. So it's still going a step above insulin, a step above metformin, and that it's slowing down what we would call in the medical world gastric emptying, right? It's slowing down gastric emptying, but ultimately, in layman's terms, it makes you feel fuller longer. So instead of eating wanting to eat a half a pizza, maybe after a slice of pizza, you're going to start feeling a little bit more full, which in turn causes you to lose weight because you're eating less.
Interesting. So,
So,
are there any other ways that it is different from like an insulin or a metformin or a glyburide? Like, do they all three of those work the same?
So that's a great question. And they don't work the same. They work on different. So like I said, what's amazing about Ozempic and its cousins, right? Manjaro, all those other names, is that it works on the pancreas and the liver, right? Metformin doesn't cause the body to stimulate insulin. It slows down glucose production in the liver and also causes the body to absorb glucose less, right? So it's ultimately working more on glucose and glucagon. So this is where we get those terrible side effects of diarrhea. We get you get a lot of complaints when people start metformin. They're like, I'm not taking that medication anymore because I can't stop using the bathroom, right? And then with glyburide, it only works on the pancreas and causes the pancreas to stimulate a lot of insulin, right? So this is with glyburide, lipizide, you have such a high risk of hypoglycemia, which is low blood sugar because there's too much release of insulin in the body. And then our famous insulin, like Humalog and Lantus, that works by basically there's a lot of sugar in the blood, and it takes that sugar from the blood and puts it into the cells and lets the cells be able to use it allows the cells to be able to use insulin better. So they work completely differently. They're not similar to Ozempic and Semaglutide, those classes of medication. They have completely different mechanisms of action in the management of blood sugar.
Okay. So speaking
I
of
hope
the
that
class,
was that too much?
no, I mean, you explained it really well. Pretty much that they have action differently from at different parts of the body. Pretty much
Interesting. Yeah.
different organs rather.
Remember, Ozempic, what makes it so powerful is that it's working on two organs, the pancreas and the liver.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So in terms of like the Ozempic family, right? What's the difference between Ozempic and Wegovy? Like we hear all these different names. Are there any differences between them?
Well, it's all about the beauty of marketing. Remember when we were growing up and our parents were like, there's no difference between Payless and Nike, okay? They're both made in the same place, right?
I miss that girl.
Why pay more when you can pay less?
My mom is saying, I'm not spending $300 on a pair of sneakers. Yeah, so it's basically like that. So they are the same medication. They're just marketed differently. So Ozempic is marketed for diabetes and Wegovy is marketed for weight loss. So what does that mean? So that means that Wegovy, because it's used for weight loss, it comes in a higher dosage. When you have a higher dosage, you have a higher rate of side effects, right? The danger's in the dose, not necessarily the drug, right? So that's the one thing that we want people to remember. So, and it's also the price point, right? So without insurance, Ozempic, because it's a less of a drug, it can cost somebody without insurance about $900 a month, where Wegovy with no insurance can cost someone anywhere from $1,500 to $1,800 a month because it's a higher amount of drug. It's more potent. So this is where people are seeing more weight loss with Wegovy. It's not because it's superior. It's not because it has more of it, and you get more in the shot. You're getting more juice in that shot than you would with Ozempic. But ultimately, they're both working the same way. But Wegovy is marketed for weight loss, and Ozempic is marketed for diabetes.
Interesting. So it seems as though while Wegovy it's for weight loss, it's specifically made for that purpose.
Yeah.
But why does it seem as though Ozempic is more accessible? And that's
Well,
the
it's
one here.
definitely more accessible because one, it's more affordable, it's cheaper,
Okay.
right? And then what you're able to do is say that someone is diabetic or pre-diabetic and hopefully get that approved through insurance, right? So it's all a numbers game. And that, and I mean, I completely get it. I understand it completely. Like if someone's BMI is not 40 and their BMI is 35, so their insurance won't necessarily claim that they have obesity, their doctor can definitely say that you're at risk of prediabetes due to a high BMI, and then get that approved through insurance. So it's a game and it's a semantics with words. But the reason why a diabetic patient should not take Wegovy, remember we said that it works on the pancreas, right? Okay. Diabetics, they're type 2 diabetics, their pancreas is not working at its optimal level, right? So when your pancreas is not working at your optimal level, we're going to be putting a lot of stress on it. So this is where you get the higher risk of the side effect of pancreatitis, where people are coming in with excruciating abdominal pain. And, you don't need, a diabetic needs more control of their blood sugar. Ultimately, yes, they will lose weight, but we don't want that higher dose to put that much stress on the patient's pancreas. So this is where Wegovy is more, I would say, in a non-diabetic patient, the risk outweigh the benefits. Like I can give them a more potent dose as opposed to that patient that already has an impaired pancreas.
Got it. So I'm just curious, like, what are the side effects? Like, for example, I know constipation has to be one of the side effects for like Ozempic and Wegovy because you're slowing everything down. Is there other side effects that people should look into?
Oh yeah, well definitely when you're slowing down the gastric emptying of the stomach, which is great, which is weight loss. With that, you can have a lot of indigestion because food is not clearing out at a rapid rate. The risk of pancreatitis, that is something that we've seen with our patient population. Um, remember, there was one drug, we were still in school at that time, but it was actually the first oral form of Ozempic. It was called Byetta, right? And this came out in 2005. And that medication was taken off of the market. It works exactly like Ozempic. It worked exactly like Waco, but there was such a high risk of pancreatic cancer, thyroid cancer, and pancreatitis. So these are some of the risk factors that happen with this medication, which is why we tell patients, like if you have a history of thyroid cancer or a history of pancreatic cancer, we do not recommend that you use this drug, right? So those are who we would say, you know, in our medical world, contraindicated. It's contraindicated in these patients, right? So that's something that we want patients to be mindful of. And you know, if anyone's ever had pancreatitis, you know that definitely feels like there's something just stabbing you in your stomach. So it's very pronounced if you have pancreatitis, right? It's not something that you may think you have or you don't. You that abdominal pain is so excruciating that you're definitely aware that you have it. So if you're on Ozempic and not having that, you know, you're okay.
Yes, I've had patients who've had pancreatitis related more to like peg asparaginase, and it is painful and it can take days and weeks to heal. They have to be in the hospital on fluids because they cannot eat. So,
Yeah,
when people like, those commercials, when they list those side effects and they run through like 10,000 of them, they're real and
yeah.
they have real consequences and should be heeded.
And the fact that it was completely taken off of the market,
Yeah.
that is a flag, because many times you'll just say the risk outweigh the benefits, but Byetta was completely taken off the market. They basically had to go to the Sanish workshop and come up with another formulation because it
Mhm.
could not even have been released to the public,
My God.
right? So that is something that we all need to, you know, be mindful of. So when we think of side effects, yes, it's an amazing medication, highly beneficial for obesity and weight loss. However, it does have its risks, you know.
Right. How long has semaglutide been on the market then?
So the class, semaglutide, 2017. It came out in 2017, and it's been a game changer since 2017, right? But the class itself, the whole class of the medication, which is like, you know, GLP-1 analog, let me get really geeky with it, right? It's been out for like the last 15 years, the idea of the medication and the formulation. But it wasn't until 2017 that semaglutide came out into the market, and you know, a weekly injection, something that people can take once a week. It blew the pharmaceutical market off the radar because it's once a week. It's
Oh,
something
wow.
shot, it's sub-Q, it's not something orally that people have to remember to take every day. So it just had that marketability, functionality, and everything all tied up in one. It doesn't need to stay in the refrigerator. It was a game
Oh,
changer for the pharmaceutical industry. Yeah.
well, shout out to whoever compounded that because that seems very
Oh yeah,
doable for a
it was
lot of
smart.
people.
And we compounded that. Yeah, it was great. I mean, but it definitely, it's not that, you know, it's something that had to be reformulated because of the effects that we saw
Right.
around 2006, 2007 with Byetta. Byetta was the game changer. We thought Byetta was everything. And, you know, now we have this one. So medicine, you know, it's not perfect, but it's always evolving.
Yeah. Yeah. So we were talking about Ozempic and how it helps with weight loss. I know metformin also was used or has still used for weight loss, but they're mostly used for like young women with PCOS.
Yeah.
Um, Can you explain why metformin isn't just like solely used for weight loss
Yeah.
for the
So
people?
the studies show, like, let's, for example, so the weight loss benefit of metformin is also kind of minimal. It's considered modest weight loss, so anywhere from 5%, where Ozempic was what we're seeing is more as 15%. So when you're using for PCOS, right, the benefits from PCOS is that, remember, it's controlling the way the body uses glucose and how it is absorbed in the body, which ultimately is going to lower your blood sugar and promote lower and promote more like metabolic health. So it's going to allow with somebody that's living with PCOS, because their glucose is under control, hopefully it can cause more hormonal balance. It can help with balancing the hormones. It can help with preventing any type of metabolic uh, stress on the body, especially when someone's living with PCOS, their hormones are kind of out of balance. So the thought process is that if I'm able to control your insulin, if I'm able to control your blood glucose, I can in turn help the body utilize its hormones more effectively, right? Which in turn will help you lose a little bit of weight, but you're not gonna see that the drastic levels that you would with Ozempic, because it's only working on one organ. It's working on the liver. Ozempic is working on the pancreas and the liver for glucose control.
Okay.
Yeah.
Learning something. So how often do we see, because obviously, like you said, it was meant for diabetics, but it's been very popular for weight loss. How often have we seen medications, used for off-label use? I can think of one very popular one,
All
but
the time. Oh yeah, every
yeah,
day, every day, all day, every day. People just getting prescriptions left, right, and center for it. I mean, and even metformin. So with patients that are getting ready for bariatric surgery,
yeah.
metformin mixed with Topamax is a great combination that we often see off label to help control to help them control their diet and get their body prepped for bariatric surgery, because one of the most important things is that it's a tool, but unfortunately, if people aren't used to seeing that amount of food that they're used to consuming, right,
Mhm.
and they're not going to start to feel that, because bariatric surgery, it's only beneficial, it's a tool, helps you eat less, but it's more mental, it's physical and mental at the same time. So we know that there's Topamax, which is used for seizures. I'm sure that your pediatric setting, you guys use this all the time.
Yeah.
But what we see Topamax off-label doing for people with weight loss is that it's acting on that leptin hormone. And the leptin hormone, which comes from the stomach, helps you think like, oh, I'm full now. I don't need any more food right now. So that's where Topamax is working. So Topamax is doing that, and then we're controlling your blood glucose levels with metformin. So that combination is very, very beneficial in patients that are getting ready for bariatric surgery to help control the mental and physical aspects of their food consumption. The problem is the side effects, right? So they can't be on it for a long term. Like Topamax, high risk of osteoporosis, metformin, high risk of lactic acidosis, damaging up the kidneys. So
Yeah.
where
Oh, side effects.
yeah, so that's where, it's off label. Yeah, you see metformin. Yes, you see Topamax, and I see it on my Instagram feed as well. But we really want to be mindful of the long-term use of it and how it affects the organs.
I just think of like Viagra.
Oh, oh yeah.
I feel like that one,
Oh, oh, that was the original game changer.
that was the girl. People don't realize it was for what, blood pressure or
Pulmonary,
heart
pulmonary
disease. Or,
hypertension.
yes, yes.
Pulmonary hypertension, and then when they started seeing the sad part is that they stopped the study. They were literally having this is how the story goes. So I'm not even gonna, I'm a pharmacist, so I can't bash the pharmaceutical industry, but this is what happened. They were doing the study and they were getting it ready to be FDA approved for pulmonary hypertension. And so at the end, like, they kept noticing, like, one, in any study, patients fall off. They fall off a study. Patients never fell off the study. the men kept coming back because they started to realize that they not only were breathing better, but they were, down there was getting better as well. And so when they started to realize that with all of the patients, especially the male patients over the age of 55, they said, hold up, stop, we're going to change direction. They stopped the study on pulmonary hypertension and just started to got it FDA approved to be fast forwarded for the use of ED.
And then the men, I'm sure all the powers that be were very behind that.
Oh, of course, of course.
Mm-hmm.
They just called the FDA. We're like, just try this. Try it and call me. I'm gonna give it to you on a Friday, on a Thursday. I'll call you by Tuesday, and by Friday it was approved.
The little blue pill that rocked the world. Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, rocked the world.
At any rate, the medications that are out now, such as Ozempic, are they sustainable as of now? What we know, is it sustainable for weight loss?
I mean, yeah. I mean, again, remember, it's since 2017. Luckily now we've had 5 years, successfully 5 years of use of the medication. So what we are seeing now within the last 5 years is that if it's working for patients, we don't see any impact on continued use, right? If the patient doesn't have a history of thyroid cancer, pancreatic cancer, if they're not experiencing pancreatitis, they're not having those negative side effects, then it's working for them and helping them control, their weight loss. Because it does help people lose up to 15%, of weight loss originally. And that's what we've been seeing in the studies. And that's what people have been seeing. Is it sustainable? Is it financially sustainable for some people? I don't know, are they always going to be approved for it through insurance? Now, if you're getting it paid through your insurance, and then after a while, your insurance says, well, your BMI is no longer where it needs to be, or you're no longer pre-diabetic, now it might roll over to having to be out-of-pocket pay as opposed to insurance pay. So that in turn, with the cost. But hopefully we're able to get it. I think generic, if it can get to generic, then that would be amazing. And more people might be able to have access to the medication.
I do have one extra question. For those who are using it not, for diabetes, are there any risk or side effects with like stopping cold turkey?
So with stopping it cold turkey, what you'll end up seeing, of course, would be like the Russian blood glucose, right? The Russian blood glucose, they're going to start seeing massive, weight gain if they haven't been able, because again, it's a tool, right? But unfortunately, when people hear weight loss, they want to continue to eat ice cream, eat pizza, not change their lifestyle, and you're just going back to the same habit. You just run the risk of being back on the hamster wheel with the medication. But with the risk, again, pancreatitis, which is excruciating, and I don't wish that on my worst enemy to experience pancreatitis, but it's definitely one of the major side effects of the medication. And prolonged use, of course, because that pancreas is overly stimulated to produce insulin. It's just, that keep pounding on that. And over a while, it can get tired, right? Any organ that gets overused can definitely get tired. So you want to think about definitely incorporating lifestyle changes, changing your diet, moving more, having ways that maybe you might not need as much at first, because it really is a drastic lifestyle change that ultimately that's needed.
Yeah. Um, let's change topics real quick. Can you tell us the services you provide?
Oh, yeah. So
Before we end it.
So I am a clinical pharmacist, right? I'm your, I deal with drugs all day. But one of the things that I add to my service with medication therapy management is helping you learn how to incorporate vitamins and supplements to your daily routine. And making sure that one of the things that we really try to promote at KISS Wellness is that all natural doesn't mean all safe, right? And all natural doesn't mean all safe. And vitamins and supplements have just as many drug interactions as prescription medication. And so this is why it's so important that before you just pick up a vitamin or supplement over the counter, that you double check with your pharmacist or contact us here at Kiss Wellness, and we're able to do a review of your disease states, a review of your medications, and let you know how to healthily and safely incorporate supplements into your daily routine. So, that's what we're here for. I'll just give an example. Everyone knows now, if in the health world, everyone knows that vitamin D is so important, right? Everyone's on vitamin D, vitamin D, vitamin D. But now, over the counter, you're seeing vitamin D with vitamin K. And if you're on a blood thinner, that is not what you need to take. Please don't. If you're on a blood thinner and you're taking warfarin, you absolutely do not need vitamin D with vitamin K, right? Next thing you have a stroke, or we throw you into AFib. So these are some of the things that you can just easily pick up off the counter. We get a lot of our health and wellness tips from the hair salon, the barber shop, the nail shop, and it's just really important that we're utilizing pharmacists and healthcare practitioners on how to healthily incorporate these things into our daily routine. So that's what we do.
Let me tell you, like where I work in pediatrics, we're like a team with our pharmacists. We have like our own set of pharmacists. So
Yeah.
it is very important. Like, guys, they are doctors. They are well trained and well educated. It is not easy to do what you do.
Here for you as well. Yes.
Yes, thank you. So it's like, talk to them. Like, if there's anyone to be honest with, who's really not going to judge you because they've seen and heard everything, you know what I mean? Let them know. And also the fact that, what might work good for your friend might not work for you, or, what works different in a male might work different in a female. So like, you have to disclose these things.
Have to disclose these things, And,
Yes.
we tell people all the time, now I was actually in pediatrics before I crossed over into emergency medicine. And there are at least 20,000 cases a year where people are having life-threatening side effects to over-the-counter vitamins and supplements and medications that land them in the emergency room. So this is where we really want to get out the awareness of using vitamins and supplements, and how to properly utilize your pharmacist. We're a lot more accessible. There's a Walgreens, a CVS on every corner. All you really have to do is stick your head in the back and, can I really start taking this? Sometimes when we need to speak with our medical provider, sometimes we can't get like for myself, I want to see an endocrinologist. That's 4 months in advance, 3 months in advance to sometimes be able to get an appointment. But there's a lot of harm that can be done just over the counter. And if you stick your head in the back at your local grocery store, wherever there's a pharmacy, I really promote people to just say hello and meet your pharmacist and ask a lot more questions, because there's a lot of answers that can be given to you.
Yes. I think, Ashley, we've seen it before, like in other countries, you can we've been to the airport and they have a pharmacy, and that pharmacist, they will ask you those, quick questions, important questions, and help you get the medication you need. And yes, it is a great resource, because who has the time to wait like 4 months and a crazy copay for a 2-minute question?
A 2-minute question, can I take this?
Yeah, because we were in Thailand. I ended up sick in Thailand.
Oh no!
Yeah, and I went to we went to the pharmacy, and it was the pharmacist. It was like, no, you need to start a Z-Pack. And that was a game changer for me. From then on out, from what was that, 2012, I want to say, from then on out, I go to a pharmacist before I go see my PCP these days. I'm like, okay, these are my symptoms. This is what I'm having. What should I take over the counter? Should I really see my PCP? So much information that we have, right?
So interesting that you mentioned that, Ashley. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so much information.
It's
and
true.
our neighborhood pharmacist. So
yes.
And what was so interesting about Thailand, and I'm sure you remember this when you were there, they have an eastern side and a western side, right? So the theory of making sure that you're learning how to use your herbal supplements and your vitamins and nutrients, they're basically joined. You go to the pharmacy in Thailand and they're like, there's the eastern side, there's the western side, and your pharmacist knows how to use both. They really inspired me as well to understand that if you're really going to serve the community, it's very imperative that you're educated not only on Western medicine, but also on like Eastern medicine and how to incorporate the two. That's something it's coming now more in the United States. They're calling it integrative medicine and functional medicine. But the United States, we done gentrified the name. It's been going on in Asia and other parts of the world. Like it's just been pharmacy for them.
Yes.
But we put a little razzle dazzle on the name and make you think that it's something completely different. But
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're saying about Thailand. That was interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that because a lot of people, they do want to feel like, I don't want to take a pill for the rest of my life and I want to do these supplements. And like you said, just because it's natural doesn't mean it can't be toxic or it's healthy, or, you might use something and you might not realize you're taking it wrong because maybe it needs to be taken with food for better absorption or whatever.
Yeah.
So we are thankful for, pharmacists like you who are, meeting people where they are and helping them get their needs met.
Yeah, thank you.
Where can the people find you?
Oh, so again, you can find me on Instagram or TikTok at kisswellness.com, KIHS, which stands for Keep It Healthy and Simple, wellness.com. We're not here to make anything complicated. We think that healthcare should be easy, it should be simple, and it should be something that you should want to incorporate in your daily routine. In our community, we're so focused on survival that it's really time for us to thrive because we're needed. And as we get older, we definitely want to learn how to promote and thrive in our wellness community. And that's where you can find me, www.kisswellness.com, KIHS. Okay. Keep it healthy and simple, wellness.com.
Love it. Thank you for joining us
Yes.
today. Everyone, let us know your thoughts, like, subscribe, comment. All right, reach out to Dr. Ashley. All right, everyone, till next time.
Thanks.
Bye. Thank you.